Hello, and welcome to the Inigo Theatre here at Loyola College. My name's Michael O'Keefe and I'm the Head of Performing Arts. In this video series, we're going to visit some of our former students who have gone on to make it in the area of performing arts. Today, Rachel Bickerton, gone on to make it big on Broadway and now lives in New York City. I had the opportunity to sit down with her and ask her a few questions about how she made it from Loyola College to Broadway. Well, Rachel Bickerton, welcome back to Loyola.
Thank you.
I didn't know where to start with this. You've had such an amazing career the last 20 years or so since you graduated. Yeah. And you've got Broadway performance on your CV. How does that feel?
Do you know, it feels amazing to look back at everything. Broadway wasn't something, I mean, that's just a dream. You know, you grow up dancing all your life and performing and doing shows, then you get into the industry and the career starts to happen, and then all of a sudden this opportunity came about that I could go to New York, and then I got on Broadway, and it was a dream come true. It was huge.
Now, you moved to New York City in 2012.
2011.
Was it late 2011?
Yeah.
Yeah. What made you decide that's where I'm going to head?
That's a funny story, actually. I was on a cruise ship, I think it was in 2008, as a lead singer. I was on the boat for 6 months, and I met Joel, who was the musical director of the show, and we just clicked and became best friends. He's from New York, and we spent a few months on the boat just having the most amazing time and adventure, crazy stories, and we just bonded. And on his very last night of his contract, we went and sat on the front of the boat, and we were just having a moment of, when are we going to see each other again? You're from New York, I'm from Australia, and when's it going to happen? And Joel literally said to me, I would get called Bicko, that's my nickname, and he was like, Bicko, you need to enter the green card lottery, which I had no idea what the green card lottery. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, the green card lottery. He said, if anyone's going to win it, it's going to be you. I was like, all right, fair enough. And so then we just talked about, yeah, cool, I'm going to win the lottery and I'll move to New York, we'll live together and we'll live happily ever after. Ha ha. So he gets off the boat, I forget about it. And he messaged me maybe a week later and he said, Rach, have you entered the lottery? I'm like, no, I don't even know where to go. How do I find this lottery? He sent me the link and he was like, for God's sake, just fill it out and forget about it. All right, filled it out. And literally a few months later, I got a phone call and I was selected and won the lottery.
Wow.
So that's where New York and Broadway came from. And I just took it as a sign that I was meant to be there. And a year later, I think I went through the process. I kind of dragged it out because you've got a year to do the paperwork and then you have to fly in and get the stamp and do all of that. And then I got there was a few shows I got after the boat. I got into Chicago, and then after that I got into Rock of Ages. So I kind of stretched it out, and then the time came and I just packed my bags and left.
And then I read somewhere you slept on a friend's floor in an apartment for
Yes.
a few months. So is it really like that? You get over and your feet hit the ground?
Literally, I had a few, not best friends or close friends, just acquaintances, people that I knew over there. So I just reached out to anyone that I knew. I said, I'm coming. And one of my friends said, you know, you can sleep on my floor until you figure yourself out. And I literally did that. I think I spent 6 weeks, 2 months there. And when I arrived, all I had was 2 suitcases. I didn't even know how to get a train ticket.
It sounds like a musical itself.
It literally was. And I was like, what do I do? I guess I just start walking the streets and talking to people. So I went to the train station. I didn't even know how to use the machine. And that's how it went. It was step by step. I got a ticket and then I went, how do I learn my way around? I guess I get on a train and I just go. So I started to learn my way around New York. Then I got an apartment and then learned how to do the auditions. And then it took off.
Now, you had some success here in Australia before you left. What
Yeah.
were some of the things that you did after graduating from Loyola?
Wow. God, Loyola, back in the day. Out of school, I actually went into design studies and I did a year of folio preparation. I thought I wanted to be a graphic designer or costume designer or something in the arts, and went on to that. And that was an amazing year doing design studies. Then I got into costume design at Swinburne, did it for 6 months and got really bored and quit. And then I just wanted to be on the stage. So I went mad at doing, million classes, singing classes, and just my sole focus was to get into a show. And yeah, that's what happened there. Then I had a huge car accident, and my whole life was turned upside down. And I woke up a week later out of a coma on life support and was told I may not walk again. So that year of my life I actually remember the moment when I woke up and all the doctors were over me telling me all the injuries that I'd had, and they told me I may not walk. And I actually remember, I couldn't talk because I had life support on, tubes everywhere. I just remember going, whatever, all I want to do is be on the stage. So cool, yeah. Okay, won't walk again. And yeah, then a year later, I got into Mamma Mia. That was my first show, and then it just snowballed. After Mamma Mia, I got into Dusty, Leader of the Pack. What was after that? We Will Rock You, I think. And it just kept going.
And so what would be the highlight of all those shows? And of course at New York, what's the thing that sticks out the most?
Oh, the highlight is Broadway.
Yeah.
It has to be Broadway. I think Chicago was always the one show. I think for every female performer, that's the one show that, every female has a monologue. They have a moment in the spotlight. And that was just the one show for me that was the biggest achievement. And then when I got into Chicago off the cruise ship after spending 6 months as a lead singer, and I actually got offered to understudy Caroline O'Connor as Velma.
Wow.
Which blew my mind.
Yeah.
I grew up idolising her, and then I got, offered to understudy her, and then I went on, and I will never forget that moment, coming out of that lift and opening the show.
Yeah.
I could hardly stand up. My legs were shaking. I remember walking forward, and then I took that breath and I went, all right, this is it. It's either going to happen or it's not. And my voice came out and I was like, okay, I got this. It was crazy.
Now, today is the first time you've come back to Loyola since 1998. Can you remember anything from being here all those years ago?
I remember so much. It was, for me, my time at Loyola, I always loved the arts, whether it was graphic arts, studio arts, performance. That was my main thing. And my biggest memory would have to be when we did Bye Bye Birdie.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned it, because I was going to be really disappointed if you didn't mention that, of course, you starred when you were in year 11 in Bye Bye Birdie at the school as Rose Alvarez. And you did so much choreography for that show as well.
Oh,
I still remember
that. Yeah.
Spanish Rose and a few other things you did. And of course, I like to mention it because friends always ask, have you performed in shows and whatever? And I always say, well, I performed in my high school musical and I went on to be a drama teacher, and my leading lady's on Broadway. So you can compare where I got to. So I will, hopefully you'll mention me in any speeches. It was great, wasn't it?
We had so much fun. That was a really special moment in my high school life. I have been on the stage as a dancer my whole life since I was 4 years old. But singing was never where my confidence was. And, Gossie, Miss Goss, she was the one that pushed me. She's the first person in my life that said, you have a voice. And I freaked out. I was like, no. Then when I, got that lead role, I think I even said to her, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, you can. And, she pushed us, and it was one of the best experiences ever. Great.
And it's still one of my favourite shows. In fact, it was when I became a high school drama teacher, it was one of the first shows I wanted to direct.
Yeah.
Because I think it's so funny and it's family friendly, and we don't sometimes see all of that now with new musicals. Sometimes they're a bit more edgy than they used to be. So I do love Bye Bye Birdie.
Yeah.
And so the future, I read you're a real estate agent now, so tell us how that came about.
So I've always loved property as well, and anything to do with homes and interior design and anything in the arts, really, for me. Just anything creative just gives me a spark. And I always knew I wanted to get into property, but I had this life on the stage which took every single part of me for until now, really. And I made the decision after touring with the Illusionists for a year and a half. I was so tired of living out of a suitcase and jumping city to country, and I just decided that I was ready. I was ready to make the change, and so I moved back to New York. I was like, I'm going to do real estate. I'm going to do it in New York, and made that change. And it doesn't mean that I've stopped performing or that I've gotten out. I definitely haven't gotten out of performing arts. I still get asked to do shows and direct and assist and choreograph and do all of that. I was just in Paris about a month ago, directing The Illusionists over there and teaching the show. So real estate allows me to do, I can create my own schedule. So I get the best of both worlds.
And will we ever see you come back home to Melbourne?
I don't know. I come back I try and skip winter every year. So you'll definitely see me in the summertime. Yeah. People keep asking me, when are you coming home? I don't know anymore. I don't like to look too far ahead of myself because you never know what's around the corner. So I just keep, going a year at a time.
Rachel, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. Thanks for coming back to Loyola to have a chat to us, and good luck for the future.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thanks. Thanks.